This episode of CU Live is sponsored by our friends at MORPC, the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission, and features stories about local and regional partners that envision and embrace innovative directions in economic prosperity, transportation, sustainability, and an inclusive Central Ohio. MORPC's transformative programming, innovative services, and public policy initiatives are designed to promote and support the vitality and growth in the region. For more information, visit morpc.org or click the link in the video description.
Hello and welcome to CU Live. I'm Susan Post, Associate Editor of Columbus Underground. I have a special guest with me today, Brandi Whetstone, Sustainability Officer at MORPC.
Thank you for having me today.
Absolutely, and we're going to talk about a variety of sustainability-related topics. Just want to start with climate change concerns becoming more urgent and mainstream in recent years. Has sustainability work shifted from a preventative or kind of planning structure to, more action and emergency structure?
And yeah, the way that I think about it is, are we proactively planning and getting ahead of it, or are we reacting to the situation? And I do need to emphasize action is urgently needed when it comes to climate change. So I wanted to underscore that point. And we know from the recent climate change report that we're already experiencing the impacts of climate change across the globe, and even right here in Central Ohio. While we have certain advantages to our location, we're seeing more extreme temperatures, more extreme precipitation events. So that impacts our communities, whether it's flooding or severe storm damage. Also, you probably had seen a recent heat island study where certain neighborhoods are more impacted by higher temperatures where they're lacking tree canopy. So that's something that we need to look at more closely.
And I saw in that study there was like a 13-degree difference between neighborhoods, which just seems wild that you can be, this close and have that much variance, but really does highlight the importance of, the tree canopy and other green space.
Exactly. And speaking to that, there are tools in our toolbox we can use to help mitigate climate change right now. We don't have to wait. So, of course, tree canopy absorbs pollution and carbon emissions, but we can make our homes and businesses more energy efficient. We can install solar. We can use electric vehicles and bike and walk to our destinations. But I don't want to ignore the importance of planning. I think we're seeing both action and planning taking place like we haven't seen before. And there's a lot of our communities that have growing interest in planning for climate change or sustainability planning. City of Columbus, for example, has a climate action plan in place already. And there's other communities around the region like Grove City and Reynoldsburg that have created sustainability plans. So there are more communities seeing the need to get ahead of these issues and be more intentional about what solutions we can put into place.
Yeah, well, and that kind of plays right into my next question. You hear a lot of public and private partners talk a lot about commitment sustainability, and it's hard not to notice that we largely as society haven't changed like a whole lot in some ways as far as like land use and car culture and suburban sprawl. Do these changes just take a lot of time, or do you think that, kind of that momentum is starting to grow around these topics and we'll really kind of see more change in the coming years?
The short answer is it does take a lot of time, especially when we're trying to reverse problems that are decades in the making, right? And overcoming some of the social and cultural barriers to changes. So
it's a huge mindset shift for a lot of people, I'm sure.
It is. We do have to change hearts and minds. But also, one way that we're thinking about sustainable growth in the region is through Link Us, looking at more focused growth and mobility corridors. That helps us grow in a more sustainable manner. It creates more walkable and bikeable neighborhoods and increases our ability to use transit to get around. So all of that combined can help us to reduce our footprint on the environment.
Yeah, and there's going to be a whole other discussion focused on transportation, so we won't dig too deep into that now. But I do want to talk about electric vehicles, which you kind of mentioned earlier. A big focus of vehicle efficiency has been the switch from fossil fuels to EVs in the coming years. What kind of progress has Columbus and Central Ohio made with the infrastructure to support electric vehicles?
That is one area where we've made, I think, significant progress over the years, especially through the efforts of our partners at Smart Columbus, Clean Fuels Ohio, and other partners that are working in that space. I just read a report from Smart Columbus not too long ago about the impacts that they've had with the help of AEP's incentive program that quadrupled electric vehicle charging in the region. So we're talking about a 7-county region that they cover. There's also really great progress on the policy side. For example, the City of Columbus and their equitable EV readiness ordinance, which looks at where we can prepare more parking in the future for electric vehicle infrastructure to be installed, and doing it in a more equitable manner, making sure that it's distributed across the communities. And then finally, there's a regional EV charging study currently going on that's going to better position our region for more electric vehicle charging infrastructure in the future. And some of those opportunities could come from the bipartisan infrastructure law, for example.
Great. Yeah, we have a futurist that writes for us, and he just wrote a really interesting article about, kind of how we're going to build out that infrastructure and what it's going to take to, help more people make that switch. And that's such a huge part of it, of, people having access to charge their apartments or they're in public. Or so is that, these various programs, is that kind of focusing on both, residential and commercial charging space?
Yeah, all of the above. It's all needed to help enable more electric vehicles, to reduce that range anxiety as well, putting more charging across communities, across our highways, as well as just making it more convenient and accessible. Just the way that you need to go to a gas station. If you have a traditional gas-powered car, you need to have that access to charging.
Yeah, great. And you mentioned a few of these earlier, but I want to hear more about what people can do. A lot of people making a small change can have a big impact. So you mentioned solar, but what are some of the other personal decisions that people can make to kind of help impact sustainability?
That's a great question. I'm glad you asked that, because if everyone's doing this collectively, we can have a much bigger impact than doing it alone. And really just pick up what you can do and make it a habit, and do it regularly. Whether that's recycling or composting your food waste. There's some bigger steps you can take, though. One that comes to mind currently, with the cold weather coming, is making your home more energy efficient. And MORPC does offer a free home weatherization program for income eligible residents in Franklin County. So they can improve the home and make it more efficient by replacing or repairing furnaces, putting in insulation. This is, this is some of the examples of the work you can do yourself in your home, air sealing. And it saves money on energy bills.
Yeah, who doesn't want that?
Right.
Great. What other big sustainability programs should we kind of be keeping our eye on for 2023 and beyond?
One that comes to mind is it's going to be an expansion of our air quality monitoring program starting in 2023. We're happy to announce that we received a US EPA grant partnering with Franklin County Public Health.
Oh, great.
And so we're going to be putting sensors out in the community, building on a current project that we're doing to measure particle pollution or PM 2.5 levels, but especially focusing in on those vulnerable and disadvantaged communities that are most impacted by the health impacts of pollution as well as COVID-19. So we're excited to collect this data, engage the public and the communities on ways they can protect their health and reduce pollution, and find some solutions to help lift up everyone in the region through this project. So really excited about that coming up. As well as our 2023 Summit on Sustainability, where we can gather residents and leaders from across the region to discuss sustainable ideas and solutions. It's a really great gathering of the minds.
And when will that be?
It's going to be in October.
Okay, so plan now. No. Great. And Brandi, to kind of close out, anything else you want to add or want to share with folks?
Sure. If you want to find out more about issues that are important to you, check our website at morpc.org. But also check out and follow our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, so that you can stay up to date. And then I do want to say, for those that are really passionate about sustainability and quality of life, share your concerns, share your ideas with your local elected officials, with your local community leaders. They do want to hear from you, and it does make a difference. So definitely get involved at the local level.
Great. Well, Brandi, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.